Buying an airplane, maintaining an airplane, it is somewhat expensive, but it doesn't have to be prohibitively expensive, and I can prove it. Have you ever thought about buying an airplane? An awful lot of people do. It's a common pursuit for people who either want to learn to fly or have learned to fly. And then they start looking at airplanes. They pull out the classifieds or whatever, and they start looking at what an airplane costs and what the hangar costs and the insurance and the maintenance. And pretty quickly they come to the realization that's a no-go. That's not going to happen. And it's really unfortunate because let's say you're in the market for a training airplane. Maybe you're a student pilot who's learning how to fly and you're really into it. Maybe you recently got your private pilot certificate or your light sports certificate and you really like this and you want to fly more, but there's not a lot of rental airplanes available, if there's any rental planes available, and you want to control the airplane you have access to. You want to be able to just go fly it when you want to. So you start looking at airplanes and you're looking at the classified ads, and sure, you could buy a Cessna 150 or a 152 or an Aranca Champ or a whole variety of airplanes. Aranca Chiefs are relatively inexpensive, but still you're looking at $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 plus the hangar is a few $100s a month, and the insurance might be $1,000 a year, depending on your experience level. And the maintenance, just the annual inspection, you're pretty sure it's going to be a real bill that you have to consider. And you say, I just can't do it. I can't. What if you could buy half an airplane? I mean, what if you only had to pay half the cost of owning an airplane? Believe it or not, this is a doable thing. You actually can own half an airplane. It's called a co-ownership. A lot of people call it a partnership. Seriously, the better term is co-ownership, but I won't turn you in if you say partnership. It's perfectly okay. I've been really lucky in my career. I've owned a number of airplanes. I've owned a Cessna 150, a 172, a 182, a J3 Cub, and an Air Cam, and I loved them all. I just thought they were fantastic. And with the exception of the 182, I sold them all for more than I bought them for. I actually did well on all of them, and you can too. I owned those individually, but I would be happy to own an airplane in partnership, in co-ownership with someone else, maybe with you. The point is, I could look at an airplane that's $50,000 and a hangar that's $400, $500 a month and an insurance bill of $1,000 a year, even being an A&P and being able to help with the annual, and you can too. I'm still probably looking at a good $1,000, $2,000 a year for annual and maintenance. Well, that's probably more than I want to do at this phase of my life. But if I went on social media and put up a picture of my favorite airplane, the type I wanted to own, and said, hey, I live here and I'm looking for somebody to buy one of these airplanes with. I'm willing to go halves. Who's interested? I'll bet, unless you're living in a very rural outlying place, you're going to find at least one other person who's interested. And maybe even if you are in a very rural outlying place, because there aren't a lot of other options outside of ownership, somebody may be just like you who says, I could do that. I absolutely could do that. If you are a student pilot and you're thinking that might be viable, there's another advantage. If you own the airplane, you can negotiate with a CFI to instruct you in your airplane. The great part is the flight school might be charging $60 or $80 an hour for flight instruction, but the instructor's not getting $60 or $80 an hour. They might be getting $20 or $30 or $40 if they're at a really good flight school. You might be able to offer them $35, $40 an hour. To them, it may be a raise. To you, it's a big savings. And suddenly, you're flying a whole lot less expensively than you were before. And even if that's a really nice $50,000 Cessna 152 or a Cherokee PA 28 140, you're now spending $25,000 on that airplane, not $50,000. And your hangar's just a couple $100 a month, not much more than your cable bill, I would expect. And your annual expense for maintenance isn't that bad because you can learn how to do it with a mechanic and your partner, your co-owner. Now, there's another scenario people who really might think about having a second owner of their airplane, and this one might surprise you. We see this a lot down south. People from up north move down south doing the snowbird thing. As they get older, they become more successful. They live here more and more frequently. But at some point, they retire. And now they're on a fixed income, and they own an airplane. And at some point, because of that fixed income, or just because of life, they don't fly it as much as they used to. They no longer travel cross country so much. They just enjoy flying it. But they're kind of tired of paying all that hangar fee and the maintenance and the insurance all on their own. And every once in a while, there's a tire to replace. You know, I love having the airplane. I've always loved having the airplane, but I just can't justify spending this much money on an airplane at this phase of my life. What if you sold half of it? What if you cut the cost of owning that airplane in half? Would it then be worth hanging on to it? I think it would. I've got friends who've owned airplanes for decades, and they do seriously think about it as they get to a certain point in life. Maybe I sell half. And by the way, if you buy into an airplane, if you buy half an airplane that's already on your field in a hangar, you don't have to be on the waiting list. You can just go ahead and buy into that airplane. It's already in a hangar. Nothing really changed. You've got some options here that you never even thought about. And having use of that airplane pretty much whenever you want, having a co-owner that you've got an understanding with, cutting the cost of your airplane in half, suddenly airplane ownership becomes really, really practical, because now you have all the advantages of ownership. If I want to take this airplane on a 2-week cross-country trip, my co-owner is probably going to say, sure, that's fine, because I'm going to do that too. Everything's good. And you don't have to worry about the minimum daily rental fee they're going to hit you with. If all you're going to do is fly 300-400 miles away, put the airplane at a tie down and enjoy some vacation resort for 2 weeks and then fly home, you're not paying for 3 or 4 or 5 hours of rental a day for that whole time. You're paying for the flight out and the flight back. That's it. When maintenance comes around, you're paying half that bill. When your hangar bill comes due, you're paying half that bill. When the insurance comes, you're paying half that bill. There's all sorts of situations, whether you're a brand new student pilot, whether you're a newly minted private pilot, whether you're a longtime commercial pilot who has just had the desire to own an airplane for years, or if you actually own an airplane and want to cut your costs dramatically, consider owning half an airplane. And if you want to do better than that, own a third. 2 other people means you're now paying a third of the cost of that airplane, or better yet, 4. If you could find 3 other people, you could have the airplane of your dreams for 25% of what it costs. And except for the gas you burn when you fly, every other aspect of it is cut down to 25%. That's a 75% off sale. Go ask your spouse, go ask your mom, go talk to some advertising person you know and say, is that a good deal? If I could get 75% off the actual retail market price of any product, would that be desirable? Yeah. Suddenly, aircraft ownership has become a whole lot more affordable. Aviation might be for you in a way you never thought it could be. And you don't have to shoulder the whole load yourself. Think about it. See if that's something you can do. And please leave a comment down below if you've ever been in a co-ownership or a flying club situation. I'm telling you, this works. And it might make all your aeronautical dreams come true for a fraction of what you thought you were going to spend. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you'll click like, subscribe to the channel. Let your friends know about this, because I'll bet not many people have thought about cutting the cost of aircraft ownership down to the part where we're talking about motorcycle money, not new car money. We'll see you next time.